I mean, there's going to be a lot of matches if you know, 10 matches in a row if you're unlucky. But yeah, that's only possible for one person. to be fair. And the top right side is not one of those people that will have that fate befallen to them. It is the blue Zerg, Team Envy's DRG. You could have 10 matches in total, but not in a row, because the Trap versus Classic will still be happening as well, of course, in between. Same for this fella, right here, bottom left side, Shopify Rebellion's Byun. Going for pretty standard stuff so far. Always like to see it. No proxy Rexes. Honestly, like I said though, I wouldn't have been too upset with it. Proxy 2 Rex. Hoping for the big micro wars. That is going to be spreading across all of the map, where I'm just, you know, panicky running around with the camera trying to catch all of it. Hoping not to get shot by some stray marine bullet or explosive goo shooting up into the sky. We'll see. We'll kick things off with a Reaper. Reaper fast expand here for Byun. The 4 Zerglings so far from DRG. DRG, wait a moment. Am I saying I'm a bit crazy, ain't I? There is a spawning pool first for DRG. I'm just looking at Byun. I thought he would be the aggressive one, but we might get to see a little bit of aggression here from DRG. We'll send those SCVs out. Sorry, the Zerglings out. I'm on fire today. As the SCV will, of course, well, get a scout that this is all happening. Let's take a look at the overall reaction out of Byun. He's still sending the Reaper quite far out onto the map, as he will be trying to rescue that SCV. I imagine that was his main cause for this. DRG is getting a very quick speed upgrade also, and he's still mining a little bit of gas. Just the one at the drone onto the gas, but it's a small amount. Not sure if he wants to do a Zergling flood here though. I think it will be... well, yeah. It's gonna be rough, right? Hellion's just so accessible for Terran players. It's rough to make these big Zergling pushes work. The Zergling speed may just be for, you know, trying to catch those pesky Reapers and scouting units, and being able to actually have these Zerglings out on the map for scouting yourself. Because now you can do this, right? Otherwise you would lose all these Zerglings for nothing. And there we go. As we mentioned, probably nothing more going to be able to get accomplished here. He got himself a bunker. Byun being like, yeah, I'm just being safe, just being cautionary. You never know. Because these two players, they do like a bit of a ruckus, right? They do tend to be aggressive out on the map with their units. Tend to be more active than maybe some of the other players. Right, that might orientate more so onto their build orders and such. Or try to get into the macro game. It's nice to see DRG just having a little bit of fun with that. Alright, shoots away those Hellions. Making a couple of extra Zerglings. That'd be nice to keep those Hellions at bay if they do manage to get a flank around somewhere where the Queens are not able to be right away. Afterwards, we're going to have another Banshee coming up on the field. I thought it would be flying across with this Banshee, but so far, not yet. Trying to keep it hidden for as long as possible. Even gonna, you know, roast this little Zergling here. Guess that's also to land the command center, of course, but it has the added benefit of keeping these benches hidden for a little bit longer. Just got to watch out not to fly into the overlord straight away. Oh. Well, we don't know for certain that DRG picked it up, but I mean, he is already building spore crawlers anyway. He's already got one in the third base as well. A lot of queens. It's hard to imagine these benches still getting something done here, but maybe Byun will be able to find a corner somewhere. Well, he's just going to try to clear out creep tumors with them, of course. Quite a good cause as well for the Terran units here. Bailing speed coming up quite early on, and then the +1 melee and carapace as well. Needs to be safe for any type of potential marine push that could be coming out. Seeing that is going to be a little bit off still for the time being, with the Banshees and the Hellions largely occupying the production tab for the start of this game. He's getting a reasonable amount. He's definitely getting a reasonable amount of creep denial here. Let's see how many. He got 16 creep tumors already. Bringing that up to 17, or maybe 18 in a second. Another command center. DRG definitely gearing up towards the later stage of this game as well. He's got himself the Baneling speed also. So very unlikely for him to get caught off guard here by any type of attack at this moment. Well, you know, Byun might still try to push his luck here. 82 drones versus 68. There's already 13 Banelings available versus the 30 Marines. Two siege tanks are going to have a heck of a job to do to clear out all those Banelings before they reach the Marines here. Combat shields +1/+1 for the Marines, about to finish up here in about 10 seconds. Well, actually, the +1/+1 waiting a little bit longer on themselves. +1/+1 for the Zerg. There we go, now completed, and now actually 10 seconds for the other +1/+1. Hellbat Banshee attack on the left flank. But the right flank, as we mentioned, not gonna have a lot of luck here. Too many resources available to just counteract that quite easily. On the other side, how much has been lost so far? Not much. Might be able to get this hatchery though, which would be a pretty good catch. Those queens are trying to get there in time, but no sir, that will not be able to be saved in this case. Banshee DPS is not bad against those buildings after all. Ooh, a nice Baneling detonation there, probably. But couldn't quite benefit as much. Couldn't quite finish off those Marines on the low HP. All the queens now on the left flank, and here we go. Another attack from the Marines, trying to deal with the Baneling Zergling army. They're doing a very good job at it, just almost being able to snipe away all of the Banelings that were there. Now more Banelings do arrive though, so he's going to have to tuck the tail between the legs and head back home, picking up a siege tank along the way, quickly gathering up all the reinforcements. Should be able to organize a new front here to start bashing those Zerg Baneling units back again. Oh, no more Hellbats. Finally dealt with. Three bases now. Actually, this one, I thought it would still be in production, but it is completed now. Trying to catch back up on that base count in a timely fashion. It's beyond relentless on this push right here. The small Zerglings as well on a counter-attack right now. A nice SimCity right there, making it difficult for the Zerglings to go where they would like to. So actually rethinking their efforts here and decide to head out elsewhere. Hydralisk adding a little bit of extra DPS as well to the Zergling Baneling army, but yeah, again, those siege tanks, they are a ever-present threat, and with all the creep denial that went on in the earlier game, DRG is having a rough time getting his army where he would like them to be. As Byun just endlessly, look at that, another hatchery will be able to get collapsed onto. Just gotta be very careful not to lose too much of his army at once. Without trading out efficiently, otherwise it may turn into an overwhelming force of the Zerg, suddenly crashing down one of your own expansions here. Does appear like Byun has things under control though on his side of the field as well. Will that still be the case once those lurkers are going to be arriving on the field though? 7 of them about to be ready and pop out. Seismic spines just completed as well, so they'll be armed and dangerous once they are set up. I guess it's a good thing we already have a couple of those siege tanks. The Banshee's also actually a very, very good threat against these lurkers. An easy way to just kind of have these guys just set up here and target these down, because there's no more Hydralisk whatsoever. Well, there's one Hydralisk. That's it. That's the anti-air of the Zerg at the time. So the lurkers kind of sacrificing themselves so that the Zerglings and Banelings are going to be able to clean up a planetary fortress here. Do want to get that other command center as well, otherwise the replacement for that planetary is just going to arrive there very quickly. Picking up another couple of Banelings though, Byun, as they try to retreat. Alright, let's take a look at the units lost tab. Still looking fairly okay here for DRG, I would say. Not too far fallen behind. And he's managed to, after making those 3 bases almost simultaneously, he has managed to keep them up. He's even managed to add in a 4th extra base. Whereas Byun, I mean, he did go up to the 4 bases, but he never quite managed to get a 5th base going. And then losing the 4th base as well, you know, that is, makes it even more hurtful. So that is maybe where the problem area is going to be here for Byun, where he just doesn't have as much money as his opponents. Coming in again. Small Banelings trying to be moved, but that is going to be pushed into. Byun still 130 army supply strong. If he loses this army, he's going to be in trouble potentially, but I mean, it's the army where he still has the biggest chance of success with in this game, right? Vipers, ooh, those tanks do look lovely set up for Blinding Clouds, as most of them are going to be disabled. And that's a lot of the DPS here of the Terran just shot down immediately, as DRG will clean this army up quite convincingly without losing a base once again. And is he going to be able to just start pushing across the map? He doesn't even have to. Byun realizes that this is where his defeat is. And GG is called. Reaper quick expand, followed up with the factory right behind. Things are going the usual Terran train way. Right on track. Able to do some dueling with the 4 Zerglings here. I wonder how that feels like for Terrans now, you know? When you have some Zergs going with 6 links versus some people, and then versus other people they do 4 links. It's a little bit of a slap in the face, isn't it? just seeing the 4 Zerglings there, you're like, oh, this is what you think of my micro? This is... Man. I don't know if DRG is someone that makes a lot of 6 links here. What is this engineering bay doing here? Oh god. Well, it's definitely annoying for DRG. If he wants to make a third base over here, he could. He could have taken the gold base as well, which is, I mean, both of those locations are quite prone to harassment incidents occurring. Actually, this is a perfect map to do this strategy on, I feel like. This is a really good play, in fact. Because this base is so pushable for the Terran, right? Especially with the high ground area over here you can abuse. And then with medevacs just jumping into the main from here to here to here to here. Just think about the path Zerglings have to take to deal with that. It's nuts. And then the gold base as well, right? Yeah, you have this. So his options were this base, or this base, or, you know, you could also go for this, but be aware of the Byun harassment hitting you in the face at some point in time. Talk about Byun harassment. We do have an armory coming up. We'll facilitate those Hellions with a bit of extra padding. Little squad of Marines opening up this, opening up the pathway for the Hellions to run by. I guess the Hellions don't really care about it. They're just going along a different pathway entirely. But here they are now, ready to turn into Halberds if they want to. There we go. Setting up shop as close by as possible. Now running up into the natural. 4 queens away to 5th queen almost about to be ready. But that is not going to be enough at this moment in time. We don't have banelings. We don't have a spine crawler ready yet. The queens are going to go down and oh dear. Oh dear. Is this what Hellbat attacks can do? I guess if anyone were to say what build order would you think most likely for Byun? Hellbat attack somewhere, right? Somewhere in between a best of 5, probably gonna happen. Bringing it out on game number 2. Quite early on. But it works. It works wonderfully well. Great map chosen for it. A great play with the engineering bay there as well. Helping out. Slowing everything down for the Zerg. Yeah. Don't want to try to get too much in the head of DRG, but it was a complete misread, and it's hard to say how he misread it entirely, but, you know. It's not unthinkable that having to deal with the trying to come up with ways to improvise your build now after the engineering bay block, that your mind's just going to be preoccupied with other stuff rather than thinking about, okay, so what could hit me theoretically now in this time window here. Third base. Okay, okay. Would we like to see more aggression out of DRG anyway, right? That's another question I would like to think about, because small batches of roach attacks in the early game are not that uncommon right now. They do occur. But DRG is just not one of these players that I associate a lot with roaches, you know? They just always feel so clunky when you see DRG, because when you see him play with the Zerglings and the Banelings, it just, oh, the Mutalisk, all of that stuff, right, is bread and butter, as they say. It just feels so clean, feels so crisp. It's going where it wants to. It's not really, not that often, you know, where you see the Zerglings miss-microed where they're supposed to go this way, and instead some of them go this way, and that type of stuff. It's very good with that small stuff. But with the roaches, I don't know. They're just not as quick. Starts feeling clunky. Doesn't conform with his playstyle as much. 2 little Hellion scouts. Remember, game number 1 that did fall into DRG's favor eventually. Did have a lot of the creep spread denied. I don't think we ever really got across the halfway the map. We didn't even reach halfway of the map in most places. See if we can do something similar here. Viking trying to loop around, finding overlords. DRG quick on the reaction there, was already moving his overlords out of the area. Only 1 kill on that Viking right there. As the Hellions just trying to rotate around. Hoping to find an area where those queens are not. It's a nice set of units, right? The Viking with the Hellions, because usually you try to keep an eye on the Hellions with the overlords by just having them. What is happening there? A new queen to the creep spreading sister association was having a initiation, apparently. Quick. Quick, sisters. Run. Save the overlords. Can't get them. Not enough energy. Clearly spending all that energy on the creep tuners right now. He's lost only 6 of them so far. 2 overlords also. Baneling speed coming in again as well. But the attack of Byun is going to be arriving a little bit earlier this time, it would seem. No 3rd base just quite yet. There's 5 barracks producing like absolute, well, some sort of a factory out of well, never mind. Very busy factory. Just a a lack of scouting here, perhaps, coming in for DRG. He is not aware what his opponent is doing. As we can see, his Zerglings moving across the field like this are gonna run straight into quite a few of those forces. Is now on to the supply depots. So counter-attack may be quite a useful thing, but it might not be achieving what he would like it to. It's not forcing Byun to turn around. It's not making him reconsider any of these options right here. And no reinforcements is to be called out either. It is just sitting inside of the base. This attack of Byun does manage to kill one of the 4th bases. There's another 4th base in production. It's about halfway done for DRG. He is still okay if he survives with losing even 1 more base, right? He probably doesn't want to lose another base, but I feel like he would be okay, as there's still only 2 command centers available for Byun. This is a very, very committed attack. And, well, DRG tries to make it as decisive of a victory as possible by not sacrificing another one of his bases. Is that going to cost him? Does he have enough? He had enough to make Byun reconsider his options here. Have to spend some time to heal up those Marines, but here he goes again. Back at it, the Banelings. Ah, how plentiful are they? More medevacs arriving, filled up to the brim with Marines, trying to bring in all the reinforcements once again, as cleanly as possible. DRG, though, finds the opportunity there. Sends a couple of Zerglings out ready to intercept. He's doing an actual pretty good job right now. Byun definitely sending in some boys into their death right now. Oh, does manage to have some clean control though on the offensive here. Keeps his Marines up for the time being. Yeah, there we go. Great targeting onto those Banelings. Manages to get rid of the most of them. And now he will be able to tear into those Queens as well. This is starting to hurt quite a bit, and DRG will have to tap out. I feel like Age of Empires 4, for me, Age of Empires 4 just felt like so much like Age of Empires, what was it, 2? Or the one that it was supposed to resemble, right? The best one in the series overall. And I already made a very conscientious decision over, like, alright, I just prefer StarCraft 2 over that Age of Empires game. And even though it was updated and it looked very nice and stuff like that, it still felt like, in principle, to the same game to me, in a sense. Yeah. It's a very good game, and I did play it for a little bit. And there is people from the StarCraft 2 community still playing it, right? Quite a couple. SC2 community? I don't know. I can only talk for myself. Alright, what's happening in this game? Third base for DRG. Byun does have that second base going. Very interested to see what he will be planning this time around. That set 2-base attack worked out fantastically well. But could it work a second time? Does he believe it could work a second time? Oh dear, there is some finicking going around here, isn't there? Bit of the wrong buttons being pressed syndrome. Wrong button pressing syndrome. That's what I always have. Finally. I know what it's called now. Third base coming up for Byun as well. So he's going to try to keep this Overlord out. And perhaps, hopefully, for him, you know, he'll be able to gain the head of DRG in a sense of like, alright, well, now I'm being super aggressive. And now suddenly we're going to try to take that third CC as quickly as possible. Without giving it away too blatantly. Very cool. Is the Viking here? Alright, let's see how defensive DRG is going to play, I guess. Overall. So far, he's been droning away like a mad lad, so... doesn't seem too concerned for the time being. The one game DRG did win was the longer macro game, so... maybe Byun regaining some of his confidence now that he is on match points, after all. Roach Warren. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're seeing the whole shebang come by today. We're seeing quite a couple of gruesome strategies. The Hellbat push, the Roach push. I'm assuming this will be for a push, right? Some people like to play with the Roaches defensively, and I guess DRG is a player that I could see try to do that as well. I don't think so. I don't think he'll be too defensive with this. Little Viking pressure. Does get shot down after killing one of the drones. Had a bit of a stroll through the Zerg base, you know. One of those bucket list things, I imagine. Comes still a little bit of a push from Mr. Byun. Doesn't look like DRG should be too much underpowered here to deal with this. He's got himself the Roaches and Ravagers coming up as well, and I guess he really is not trying to be too aggressive with it, as only now starts up the Roach production, although that is 12 Roaches in production. He knows about the third base. So yeah, this will be actually still for that push. See how committed he is planning to make it. As more and more roaches, that is all we're seeing right now on the production tab. He is going to be supply blocked. That is actually quite bad. Actually, that is really bad right now. He's making 6 overlords. He's like, oh no, I'm supply blocked. Right when I'm assembling my army to try and overwhelm my opponent by surprise. Oh dear. Better send in the boys to try and lose some boys. Here we go. Okay, 2 attacks happening at once. The roach ravages running into the siege tank line are doing an okay job. On the other side, the marines, actually no transfusions being applied whatsoever. DRG apparently losing both of these engagements right now. Does manage to get the roaches in a bit of a better position here onto the third base of Mr. Byun, but still this is a rough spot for him to be. 10 SCVs that go down miraculously. No drones have gone down though. Just a whole flock of queens and roaches. A whole bouquet of queens. Did get a bit shot up by machine gun fire or assault rifle fire. Is that what Marines use? Whatever it is Marines use. Gauss rifles, officially, right? I don't know what that would classify as. Anyway, another roach attack. Here we go. And when one fails, we try again. The siege tanks would be lovely targets to try and target down, but those roaches, look at how clumped up they are as they're moving in. And I feel like that is one of the main things you gotta do. Like, those types of clumps of roaches, that is fantastic. Just bit of space in between those roaches take the initial blow and it saves you so much of your HP trying to run in further forwards. But you need to have those initial cannon for the units kind of set up ready to run in there before you commit onto siege tank fire. Now, killing on 5 more of those SCVs is alright, is, you know, makes them a bit more comfortable here. Byun still quite ahead though on overall workers, as he did not spend most of his SCV production trying to make roaches. He just kind of still went for the regular stuff. DRG still on the full base. Byun bit careful with his movements overall. Doesn't want to give a base race situation a viable option. Three attacks at once happening right now, although these ones are actually combining into one. Not even sure if we can call this an attack. The 2 Marines with the medevac squad. This one though, we can definitely hit in the main base, trying to take out as many drones as possible. Other attack on the top side does have to be evacuated from that area. Same for the main base as the roaches arrive. But a bit of space was created there, I suppose. Again, 6 workers being slain for DRG. Still a number that he needs to manage to get higher up there on the scale. Has been on 66 for a while now. And, well, Byun, look at that. Almost 2k extra resources there for an... I mean, that must have been an entire minute, right? That is pretty ridiculous, yeah. It's not being resembled as much just quite yet on the overall overall supply, but this, keep in mind, roaches, they inflate that supply like crazy. They do. They really do. So as soon as Byun is going to hit 200 supply here, it's just going to be so much more efficient. It's the upgrades leads. Yeah, that's a great point as well. The upgrades, 3-3. Coming in right now as 2-2 is about has started here for DRG. 2-2 melee and ranged attack. Vipers could still be a nice way to perhaps take himself a couple of good fights. And he does still have a good amount of bases, right? His economy is still in here as well. He has somewhat stabilized that income advantage. Doesn't peak up as high anymore when the mules land. Ultralisk Kevin on the way, but as opposed to the previous macro game, we didn't have any ghosts just quite yet, and they are in production now. 4 of them in total. Definitely a much better setup here for Byun to do a macro game as opposed to game number 1 that we saw. Oh no, I think there's no bailing speed yet. I don't think he realized as it just started up. As he's trying to send bailings over here to defend against the marine drops. Terrifying thing. More command centers. So many. This is just the every bit of infrastructure you could desire here being made for Mr. Byun. He's the one little thing I could say here is that he's not being as proactive on the map as I would like him to be, because look at this, there's still so much just infrastructure being set up here for DRG as well. Very important, crucial extra bases in the corners that the Zerg need to have if they're gonna fight the Terran here in inefficient manners. Which most likely is going to be happening because he's playing against Byun, someone who is infamous for his control. Here we go. Banelings all rolling in. There's mostly siege tanks here. Siege tanks, well, they are being bombarded right now. Where's the rest of Byun's army? I guess in medevac spread out across the map. Here and there. Maybe? Where is it? Only 70 army supply remaining. DRG just came in through one angle in particular. Just forget about flanks. Forget about setting up little concaves like that. He did come in through one of the biggest entrances, though, to be fair. But because Byun had his army so spread out, it was incredibly efficient. Incredibly efficient. We clean up a big portion of the army. Has he managed to deal economic damage so far? Not yet. Does he have to, though? That's a good question. Does he have to? I mean, if he could just keep trading against the Terran army in an efficient way, he may need to get above 64 workers. That would be that would be better. Tries again here, perhaps a bit too soon. Doesn't have enough of his stuff here quite yet, and I think this might be one of those moments where the Zerg is too quick with the trigger. Thinking, alright, here we go, we dealt enough damage, let's finish our opponent off. That's when you start bleeding units into your opposing enemies, well, ghost lines and stuff. That when it comes to lower number units, they are phenomenally great at shooting those down. Okay, let's take a look at the unit count. 3 ghosts, 4 ghosts, 4 tanks, 2 liberators. It's not much, is it? There's a reasonable chunk of Marines and Marauders in there as well, which is invaluable to the defense right now. But we're also seeing a lot of stuff being sent out across the map for harassment purposes. Is that once again going to be the downfall here as another bit of a meaty ball of death and destruction comes along the track and we'll be able to blow up one of these planetary fortresses? Well, this makes it worth. This makes it worth. 8 and 9 kills. Just racking in some more. 9 kills right there. Getting all the lava as well. That is juicy stuff. Byun survives for the time being. And so does DRG. But man, they are taking a beating from one another. I kind of like Byun's position more so, looking at the supplies in particular. He's got himself 100 army supply versus 50. Which the 50 of DRG consists out of 2 Vipers and an Ultralisk. The rest is pretty much circling Baneling. That is still dangerous though, 30 Banelings. Oh no, it's only 12. It's only 12 Banelings. Yeah. It's starting to feel like Byun getting more of a grip on this. Just a couple of overstepping the overstepping his luck. Is that what we could call it? Thinking he was further ahead than he actually was, perhaps. Thinking he dealt more of a deadly blow to Byun's army supply than he actually did. Trying to utilize the Zerg, one of their main features, right? Replenishing your army very, very quickly. But it just wasn't able to do it. Because he's been around that 60 worker supply for so long in this game, right? That's that ginormous red iceberg that we're looking at in the income advantage right here. DRG just never really got his economy going. If he had that secondary attack that he did, that kind of fell flat. Imagine what that would have brought to the table if that was fully loaded up, stocked up with everything he wanted to. 200 supply strong just coming in. Probably would have been game. Instead, now we're seeing DRG being pushed backwards. His creep receding. The drones in full retreat, and the few army units that the Zerg still has are being shot up quite liberally. Liberally. Is that a word? It's a fun word. Liberally.